Welcome to Cranky Live Sports Talk, where passion meets action.
Hey sports fans, I am Cranky, and this is the Cranky Live Sports Talk, the podcast where we dive deep into the hottest topics, the biggest games, and the most controversial moments in sports.
Whether it's football, basketball, track and field, cricket, or soccer, we've got you covered with expert analysis, insider interviews, and unfiltered opinions.
Join me as I chat with the biggest names in sports, get exclusive insights and stories you won't hear anywhere else.
Cranky Live Sports Talk is where you can hear the real talk, the hard-hitting questions, and the hottest takes.
So, if you're a true sports fanatic, you don't want to miss out? Subscribe now to the Cranky Live Sports Talk on YouTube and hit that bell icon to never miss an episode.
Cranky Live Sports Talk, where sports come alive. Subscribe today.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. I was trying to be late on purpose, but I couldn't do it, actually. Because I figured, I want to get as much people in the chat as possible before I start. Bless up, Pastor. Thanks for joining. Hey, Pastor, we have to have that session on my Balance View channel. So let's try to set it up for next week. I have nothing to talk about the topic we talked about the other day. But I want to start out by, since I spent so much time doing this, I'm going to start out by doing this because ready. If you have some fun this evening, I'm going to know so enough people jump on the chat. I'll test something today. I said, I'll test something today. I'll test a thumbnail, and I said the thumbnail will work. And the thumbnail is not it's not meant to do what people normally do, right? Into the thumbnail. It's reflective of what I'm talking about today, but I wanted to see how it would actually work and how it would resonate. But me not start that yet. Me have some fun this evening. I'll get beaten for this. I'm not really care anyway. I don't mind take beating sometime. So here we go. Bless up. Thanks for joining. Welcome to the Cranky Live Show, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. normally, but when it talk get good, we extend it. But we'll start with something else. And nobody the beating me come here play me thing, and nobody the beating see me do my thing. Bless up. Yes. Cranky G and the microphone are doing thing. We now do the whole thing, The sample. We go back in time. See me I say?
Reggae Boyz, now is your time.
Bless up.
All like it's fine wine. You have the skills for the battlefield and to make your opponents heal. But you have to have.
You hear that, Steve McClaren? And then ball I'm playing now.
Ball progression.
We don't play no kick and walk ball. You hear that, Steve?
Possession is our obsession. We built a team from far and wide, but them playing like a pickup side. Need to change that style of play next.
Bless up, Steve McClaren. Welcome to the house. We had everything. Yes, people. If you start the way there, Ball we are thinking about. We have a new coach, same old administration, nothing non-change. So, Steve Hagrimson. It was Heimer Hagrimson, big deal, not Steve. You mix up the people them. You have to know your coach. Oh, now give me 0.5. Oh, nobody not do. Oh, 3 times 0.5 or 1.5. Now, so you still not count right. But me love my song. We spend time right here. I play it periodically. See me I say, me almost if mind. Me play the other one about the JFF, but I not play that. Because I talk about them this evening. So I just seen a thumbnail, people. And I mentioned this yesterday, that the Gleaner had an article about 5 days ago, which some people may have missed because it was editorial, right? It wasn't one of just normal articles. And normally editorial written by sort of the key people in the newsroom. Sort of the editor is part of it, but probably more than one person when they publish this. It's the position of the organization, not necessarily of any one given individual. So they're coming on and said, this is the Gleaner's position and what they talked about. And the editorial was labeled Steve McClaren's mandate, but it was much more than the mandate. Well, some people just he misspoke. Give him a break. He misspoke. Thank you, Claudine. Spend time I write it in us. I appreciate when some people appreciate it. We don't want Owen's opinion because they don't know music. They don't know about music. But it was an interesting article, and I want to really dissect the article, people. Dissect it to the nth degree. It was, to me, a mixed article. What I mean by that, elements I find to be really, really good, and some of the things have been said by others and I've said myself. Aspects of it I take on a front too, and I'll clearly call those out. Then, all right, Owen. And then we can have a dialogue about it, right? And this is not to beat the JFF. I mean, I really beat the JFF, but because them used to get beaten really bad, things have calmed down. And I call them out when I don't think they're doing the right things. And I'm not sure everybody in that organization appreciate that, but I can't be a hypocrite. And I'll say this. I have met a number of people in JFF. Nice people, some of them. As you know, I've had Rudolph on my channel a number of times. He's been very accommodating to come on my channel. When he was in Europe, 12 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning, he did my first episode on the program. So I appreciate that. But let me just say this. But if I see things which I don't think is right, and it applies to Rudolph or anybody else, I'm going to call it out. Just like he and I had a big, what do I call it? Disagreement on the whole quota business. And I'm not sure he was appreciative of my position, but that's his prerogative. I've met Michael Ricketts, really nice person, very welcoming to me. But if he's not doing his job the way I think it should be, I'm going to call him out. Same thing with Dennis. That's how I live my life. Now, as I've said on these programs, I don't really talk about YouTubers that much, unless it really bothers me. I try not to. And I don't call out my friends in any public domain about things. And if I was ever going to do that, I'm going to talk to them first. I'm going to call them and say, hey, XYZ, I may have to talk about this. I've not done it before. I don't plan to do so because they're supposed to be my friends. So we can talk behind closed doors. I will get beaten in public about that. I can take that beating. If you are my friend, I'm going to treat you like one. I'm going to treat you like a frenemy or an enemy. That's not how I live my life. I'm not do that. Now, I know I'm going to get beaten in circles, say, well, you give your friend them excuse, but they're my friends. So that's how life is. All right? So let's go to the article, people. We'll talk about the article because it's important. I'm going to read the article, and then I have my own take on elements of the article. So don't expect to read the entire thing and then talk about it. I'm going to break it down. You know, like how you watch these political shows and then you snip a small piece and then them talk about it, and just that's how I'm going to do this today. So the article starts out by, the heading is Steve McClaren's mandate, and it says, Steve McClaren made a number of sensible observations at his introduction last week as the coach of Jamaica's national men's football team. One of them was that there was a significant amount of footballing talent on the island, which of course didn't take his 35-year experience in football management at the highest level to divine. That's a little bit of a dig, but we'll get to that. And I'll beat the Gleaner too. Because when the Gleaner disrespect people, we'll start calling the little Gleaner, because them little, in context to other big newsworthy organization. And you're not going to like it, but if you disrespect people, I'm disrespect it too. You can call people out. You can say you disagree, but they made certain comments in this article, which I'm going to call out. It says, Mr. McClaren more profound. He's basically saying, take a genius to realize this, right? That's what they're saying, which actually makes no sense, and I'll tell you what. It says, Mr. McClaren more profound observation, however, is that there is such a lot to do to unlock that potential to give Jamaica a real shot at reaching 2026 World Cup in the United States, Mexico, and Canada. First of all, let me hear what Claudia said first before I go further. Claudia said, I'll call you and your friends. Oh, don't worry until me back board. Right, Frank, Claudia, I know you'll do that. Bless up, Ricardo. Thanks for joining. First of all, people, how would Steve McClaren know if there's talent on the island? How does one define talent? His engagement, he said, when he was doing the talent assessment with Jamaica, was remote. Did he go to practice with a talent? Did he watch a talent play? And I like how Steve came across. But how will you know what Steve would know what a talent entails? Which talent he's talking about? It's a talent on the island. That means local players. Did he go watch a JPL? Did he go watch schoolboy football? Did he go watch the second division or first division, whatever it is that you play below the JPL? Where does Steve get his insight to say this? And the Gleaner basically saying, well, there's talent here that you can't even, and a blind man can see it. Really, Gleaner? Tell me the talent. Is that the under-20 team for boys? Is that the girls team? What talent are you talking about? Please articulate and explain to me that talent you're articulating about? Because I'm confused. The talent in terms of what? What have you seen? The ability to play position football, pass the ball, control the ball, head the ball. What are we talking? When we define the talent and we articulate the talent and we say there's talent, tell me what that assessment you're talking about. Steve McClaren don't know if we have talent on the island. Not based on what I've heard from Steve McClaren, because he's never been on the island enough to me to go see the football and watch enough games to make that assessment. Did somebody tell him that there's talent on the island? Did he get it from the JFF? I'm just curious. I've been sitting down assessing this write-up for about a week, like 5 days, digesting it, every single word, assessing, and says, how does one make an informed decision about the quality of the talent? And the talent needs to be unhurt. That means it's hidden. So if you know your seed, Steve, Gleaner, tell us the talent, Gleaner. How many of those players that are in the JPL are in football, apart from Whisper and Dixon, have gone on overseas more recently? If there's a lot of talent, they should be going overseas. I've seen the talent play for Cavaliers against Cincinnati. It was men against kindergarten. I've seen the talent play against decent companies. And we're talking about MLS. We're not talking about world football. So what talent are you talking about? I am confused. That's why I decided the article. So when you make the comment, Gleaner, as if only a blind man cannot see it, please articulate the talent you're talking about to me. Why aren't those players overseas playing? Why didn't they perform in the under-20 against the US when they get 9-0? Where's that talent that you're talking about? I need to know. I need to understand. Because I'm not seeing what you're talking about. Now, I can get beat, and I'm sure I'm going to get a beaten after this program, but I don't know, so I'm not really bad about them thing there. Yeah, talent. The question is, when we're talking about the talent, what exactly are we talking about? Is it the views espoused by people in Jamaica about how we as a people are physically quick and strong, like I hear from a lot of people, and on the 15 go overseas and beat Villa and beat all these teams, and then when we see them play against US, them get 9? What are we talking about, people? Or are we fooling ourselves? Or we don't know how to assess talent? Or we don't know what talent entails? So that's why I'm confused. That was the first part of it I read and said, you're saying only a blind man can see the talent. I watched the talent. Yeah, the kids can play football. But what level are we talking about? Because we're competing on the world stage against a very good team. So I don't understand what that means. Nitro, why do you say we have natural talent? What does that mean, Nitro? I don't understand natural talent. I'm not sure there's a thing in football ever as natural talent. This is not athletics. This is not track and field, where you can be born here quick. Talent in football is cultivated. If you think over the last, over the last 70, 80 years, because you guys don't think that, I'm thinking about race. It's black people who have the talent in football. Where are the dominant black players that you see? Who has been the best football players in the world over the last 80 years? Pele was best up until maybe late 80s when Maradona came aboard. Ronaldo and Messi are not African-American heritage. So that means football is not necessarily about your physical, natural ability, is it? Some element of it, yes. But don't give me that nonsense. How big is Messi? How strong and fast is Messi? How big and strong and fast was Maradona? We have this notion in our head that's been cultivated to say, because we are physically strong, and we, as Cece said last night, maybe only a few Olympic finals have been made by people other than blacks in the 100 meters for men, that translates to the football field and make us superior. You cultivate your talent on the football field by coaching and by the football field, not because you're quick and fast. How many fast players play for Jamaica? Only tell me what no quick and fast. Tell me the speedy players that play for Jamaica, apart from maybe Cephas. Tell me the man who can run past people 100 miles an hour and get rid of them. Because I'm not seeing them. So I'm confused when we make these statements and everybody buy into it. And it's made at the highest level in Jamaica by a bunch of the same people are coach. The same people who say we have all this talent which they can cultivate and export. So I'm confused. Seriously, I am confused. Bless up Ernest, bless up Nitro, bless up 1-1, bless up everyone in the chat. Thanks for joining. So when I hear me say me confused. Because I am very big on what I call deductive reasoning. And you have to provide empirical, factual evidence to me to substantiate any position you're taking. That's why me and Pastor, I see me and Pastor struggle about some other things, some deity things. Pastor, we have to talk more about that. Right? That's why I struggle. Can we try to be as logical as possible? So when you make these statements that the Gleaner make, and you make it as if, you know what, even a blind man can see it, well, I guess I'm not seeing too well. As Owen is saying, the game is not only about physical attributes, though. It would be great if we had the technical ability with physical attributes. You need, yes, look, if you look in the EPL, there's a disproportionate people of African-American descent in the EPL. There's a reason for that, right? But at least those people have been coached and they're good at what they do and they come from all over. If you look at the ratio of African-Americans in the EPL, especially those with Jamaican heritage, a disproportionate portion. It ain't only because of their physical attributes, it's because of how they've been coached and trained and positioned to do well. So no one can dispute that. But also, as a people, we spend more time doing sports than we spend in our books. So if you're going to spend time and practice something, you should be good at it at some point, all being equal. You should be good at it. We spend 24/7 doing something, you should be good at it. Just like how some people spend more time in their books and they seem to be smarter than other people. No, because they spend more time in it. They're not innately smarter. That's how they apply themselves. So doesn't make sense to me, people. But we'll keep going. When people make these statements, I get really perturbed and they actually believe what they're saying. Nigel says, not the Gleaner alone. You miss Richard Parchment article in the Observer that said the same thing the Gleaner said. Yeah. But they're all the same. They all come from the same school. They all thought it's me having a discussion with, I won't call it the person name, some people in Jamaica about the fact that per capita, we overachieve in athletics. And we get beaten. We don't only get beaten, we get beaten from the people who are supposed to know. People that are in coaching and people that are in the media. I say, oh, they send out 3, we send out 3. Of course we should do X, Y, Z. And you're there shaking and say, like, what am I missing in life? Like, and everybody across the world is saying the same thing. Per capita, Jamaica overachieve. Per capita overachieve. And they're the ones in Jamaica saying, no, we ain't overachieving. That's what we do. The sense of arrogance is amazing. It's almost like innate arrogance, people. It's like innate arrogance. Like, so why are we saying that in cricket or in football or in any other sport then that we play a lot? Why are we saying that we should put out 11 in cricket? They put out 11. We should dominate. We could have said that in cricket 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 25 years ago. Can't say that anymore, can we? Because it's not innate. It's learned. Way back when, cricketers used to learn them craft. That's all they used to play in the Caribbean. They didn't play anything except cricket. At some point, things got more diverse. We spread our talent. We spread our wings. We don't have that same focus we did with cricket before. When we have the Clyde Lloyd and the Vivian Richards, and before them, the Headleys and the Lawrence Rose. Things change over time. Right? Things change over time, people. And people don't seem to get that. Let me keep going with the article. It go on to say, this is in part why this newspaper look forward to further and better. So we're going from what they talked about. Let me go back to the previous, where he talks about his observation. And they further said, this is in part why this newspaper looks forward to further and better particulars on the scope of Mr. McClaren's assignment and why the Jamaica Football Federation should authorize FIFA, the game's global governing body, to release the analysis that he undertook for FIFA on the state of the game and presumably football management in Jamaica. Interesting part about football management, people. So I agree with the Gleaner on this. The report should be disseminated. It should be communicated. Because I would love to see how the analysis was done and the conclusions that were drawn from this analysis. It'd be good to know and scrutinize. My concern about part of the analysis done, it was done during COVID. It was done remotely. You're not on the ground. You're being chaperoned. Any person who they're doing some kind of investigation, some kind of assessment, you need to go talk to people in the trenches. You don't need to just talk to the senior people, because senior people are going to manage the information that you receive. So what you do is, when I used to get investigated by regulators, they would say, I don't want to talk to you, say Cranky. I want to talk to your direct report and their direct report. I want to know if they know their jobs. Because yes, you may know your job, you can talk really well, but I want to go 2 and 3 deep to get more insight, more perspective, to understand your bench strength, and are you really what you said you are? So I want to see this report to get a view as to how they did their assessment, how they formulated their perspective, and what conclusions were reached. For someone to do a remote assessment and say we have talent and hidden talent and how much talent we have, I don't know how they got there. Right? Niger is saying, not with McLaren as employed, the kind of distraction we cannot afford. No, we would love to get it. It'd have to do with McLaren. McLaren is focused on McLaren. Part of the reason why the Gleaner wrote this article, and we'll get to that, is about his mandate. And that's why you see me here in my description. His mandate is very narrow. Very, very narrow. It's just to go to the World Cup. That's his mandate. And we'll get to more of this with the Gleaner, which is, really, JFF? Given his profile, shouldn't that be a little bit different? But anyway, the Gleaner goes on to say, the point is, insofar as the public is aware, Mr. McClaren's terms of reference, and therefore his sole focus, is to win sufficient of Jamaica's remaining matches in the qualifying rounds so that Ireland can reach the World Cup. Nothing has been said about the broad development of the game on the island. Mr. McClaren may well have the skills to pull it off. At least Jamaica has never had a bigger name as coach of its national team. And my view is, this is an important point, and one I've also previously brought up in the context of, that's why you hear me asking for a Spain coach, people. And people, why you keep talking about Spain coach and ball position. My view would have been that if you have a coach from Spain who have relationship in Spain, they have to be the biggest name in Spain, and given Spain's strategy and their philosophy, and they have a program, a strategy put together for the next 20, 30 years, I think it is. They have this, you could probably go read, and a friend of mine had it before the game had it. Just the way the direction of travel for their football, it's amazing where they're going with their football. They're not stopping where they are now. And by the way, I repeat this 100 times. They have won the Women's World Cup. They've won the Men's World Cup. They won the Men's Olympic. They've won the Under-19 Europe. They just keep winning and winning and winning. And they play, and their coaches keep spreading across the world, and so are their players. Right? They have a program. I thought that, you know what? Best place to go leverage. Those who have done it well, we can build relationship. Spanish is not the most difficult language to learn. We can go engage with them. We learn from them. We create situations with them. We have academy of affiliates with them. That's the strategy I had in my head about how we can improve what we do. And really find a way to nurture this supposed talent that we have. You know the word supposed. Right? Their football philosophy, their style of play, is something that is innate to Jamaica love, because Jamaicans love Brazil. Brazil have moved to the wave side. It's not about Spain, but it's the same concept. I'm not sure why we wouldn't have tried to do that. Now, I understand the immediacy of trying to make the World Cup. It's a short-term view. But part of that whole thing for the JFF is they focus on, there is no time better in history than making the World Cup now. No time in history. And I would agree with that, right? 3 of the top teams in the region who normally go are going to go. There's another 3.5 to 4 spots available. We're supposed to be in the top 6, so by default, if they go Costa Rica and Panama, it should be us next, instead of Honduras, Haiti, and all the other teams. It doesn't always work like that. And if we saw from the first round, it really doesn't work like that at all. Alcova says, can't release that report. What if he'd made damning statements about talent or management, etc.? No, he said there's talent on the island, unearthed talent. What are you talking about, Alcova, 89? So if he said that it's there, then his report should say that. Or he's going to call out himself. Yeah, no, I understand the immediacy of the need, but you can achieve both. Why couldn't a Spain coach achieve both? You don't think they could get us to the World Cup just like Steve McClaren could? Are you saying they're not good enough to get us there? They use a coach who've never coached at the highest level in Spain and won the Euros. Just saying. Just saying. The article goes on to say, blessed Dr. Hero, thanks for joining. It says, René Simonis, the Brazilian, may be a cult hero in Jamaica for taking the island to Paris in 98. But he has never had charge with the status of England, of which Mr. McLaren was managing from 2006 until England failed to qualify for the 2008 European Championship. Further, he has come to Jamaica from a job as an assistant to Eric Ten Hag at Manchester United, probably the most famous football club, where 2 decades ago, he was an assistant to the legendary Sir Alex Ferguson. Mr. McClaren has also managed English club, teams such as Queen's Park Rangers, Middlesbrough, I'm going to add, they don't have this, FC 20, Derby County, FC 2010, Wolfsburg. He's managed a lot of teams. Right? He's a well-known commodity. And he was at Man U twice, not just once. And he's also won a League Cup, I think when he was at Middlesbrough, if I'm not mistaken. And he's also managed Newcastle. So he's managed a lot of teams. So he has good pedigree. So Simone has never had that pedigree, to be frank. It never had a pedigree. So it's a fair comparison to say, all being equal, if McLaren has this pedigree and Simone's didn't, then maybe it makes sense to hire him and it could take us where we need to get to. And I think what the article is basically saying is that if you get a coach who has all this knowledge and experience and pedigree, work for FIFA, work for Man U, work for FC20 more than one, won the Eredivisie with FC20, works for Middlesbrough, won the League Cup, coach England, why wouldn't you leverage all that experience and that intellect to help with your football program? And he also was part of the assessment process. Fair point by the Gleaner. Right? Fair point of the Gleaner. Yeah, but Nitro, the question is, why wouldn't you leverage him? Because what he's going to do between periods, right? We have these international periods in football, these FIFA windows. What's he going to do between windows apart from recruiting? You could have him do some other stuff. He's getting paid quite a bit of money. Not a lot for him in terms of what you probably get paid at Man U, but he's getting paid decent money. He's getting paid $500,000 a year, I would assume. Does having a good pedigree translate to be successful? It's better than not having one, right? It means he's been there, done that, which, yes, it gives you a better chance of success because it's not going to be new to you. You know what good looks like. You've worked at the biggest football club probably in the world, or one of the biggest in the world. You've worked with England. You know what good looks like. You know what quality looks like. You've worked with quality. You know agents. You know the players. You know systems. You know process. You know FIFA. You know a lot. Why aren't you leveraging all that intellectual capital to inform you and help you? And we get to more what the Gleaner says, because they're skating about the JFF. And we'll get to why that's an imperative and important and should have been leveraged. Nitro, improve the senior team. How? They only have windows for Nitro. I don't understand what you guys are saying, Nitro. You only can work with the players during the window. When they leave you during that window, they're no longer yours. They're the club's team. So when you can improve them when you have them. But what happened after they leave, Nitro? What do you do after that? Tell me what he's going to be doing. I don't know what Henry, I'm not understanding what you guys are saying. The coach comes in. He's going to have them for the September 6th game. They go back to their club after that. What does the coach do after that? He can't come to Jamaica and engage management and engage the administration and engage the coaches there? Really? What's he going to be doing apart from recruiting? Please tell me, because I'm confused. And he's going to be here for 2 years. There's a lot of intellectual capital to leverage in a 2-year period, time span. A lot of it. People, 60 likes, 120 people. Right. See me I talk about Claudine, and Claudine say me like feel whine about them thing to Claudine. Half of the people don't hit the like button yet. Why, I tell you. And you give me a hard time, Claudine. See me I talk about Claudine. One one is saying, Omar, we never shot a good time. I have no idea what's talking between games. He went to a lot of games, Nitro. He went to a lot of games. You would see him a lot of games watching players who potentially can be in the team. I think I heard the JFF said the coach have to live on the island. Isn't that what he said, people? Isn't that what the JFF says? The coach have to live on the island. And it's the island named England. Maybe that's the island we're talking about. I would think it was Jamaica. So if we're going to live on Jamaica, what is he going to be doing in Jamaica? Doing paperwork all day? I would think his job and his duties would be versatile or flexible in context of, I go to England, I go source players, but I also spend time in Jamaica, talk with administration, looking for talent on the island. Isn't that what we all complain about? That some of the kids on the island not getting a chance? So go look for talent on the island and give instructions and guidance and information and get access, provide access, probably help some kids get some transfer overseas. There's a lot to be leveraged, people. And we're very siloed in our thinking and myopic in our view if we think otherwise. So they can't beat me upon that. Let's keep going. The Gleaner have a caption says achievable. It says, yeah, nobody say he can't do both Nitro. He's not one-dimensional, like we seem to be indicating. Another section of the article says, as Simone's era showed, taking Jamaica to the World Cup may be achievable. It is, however, quite another thing to sustain Jamaica at a high level of performance on the international stage, except without a continuous stream of transient, so-called legacy players, football of Jamaican heritage, especially in Britain, who turn out for the island in an effort to play international football. Now, I'm going to reread this, people. I find this to be an affront. And Gleaner, you need to learn how to write better and reposition your words so they make them digestible to some people. Or you're trying to impact a certain audience, and therefore that's why you write the way you did. It says, as the Simonis era showed, taking Jamaica to the World Cup may be achievable. It is, however, quite another thing to sustain Jamaica at a high level of performance on the international stage, except without a continuous stream of transient, so-called legacy players, football of Jamaican heritage, especially in Britain, who turn up for the island and effort to play international football. First of all, Gleaner, they're citizens of Jamaica, naturalized citizens of Jamaica. So what you're saying, Gleaner, is them only want to play international football, so when they come play for we, because they don't really care about Jamaica, so I'm playing international football. So what do people on the island, what do kids want to do in the island? They don't want to play international football. You know what they want to play for Jamaica? I never heard any of these players say that, you know what, Jamaica can't do nothing for them. Or badmouth Jamaica. When you have heard these international players that are still playing, not some of the ones who have probably stopped playing, that suppose they're international players, even though they're Jamaican, they have their passport, they don't have green card, they have passport and citizenship papers. Whenever you hear them badmouth Jamaica, why aren't they just citizens like you are, Gleaner, people who write this? Why are you some more Jamaican than anybody else? Why only people on the island feel that the only Jamaican on the boat? Kind of band on the island. And most of them mash up the island. Why don't think so? Jamaica overseas diaspora sent back $3.something billion, which is 9% of GPA in 2022, I think it was. Why not so ungrateful? Why not answer bad? Why not can't get out no one way? And a lot of times I hear you people Gleaner ask questions and not know what question to ask. Huh? Why not go? This is to me, Gleaner, you could have made a point to say, you know what? We need to leverage all the players that we can have because we'll have a larger pool for set. That's all you have to say, no, Gleaner. Currently, we don't do the best job of developing players on the island, and we do have as large a pool as possible to select players from. Huh? That's all you have to say, no, Gleaner. This thing both we can leverage heritage players and transient players and football heritage, because they want to play national football. You're done. And you do the right thing. You call it you're done because it's a word that make no sense to me. That. You're done, Gleaner. You don't have no sense. You'll beat you about that. You are being ridiculous. You are being inflammatory in your statement. I know you want to be inflammatory. You want the best readership. You want more readership. Like me get views, you want views, but you want people pay for views because they're not even my like button to get me no views. Eh? That's all you try to get, Gleaner. These statements are not helping. Why should anybody want to play for Jamaica when they go on and with the Gleaner? But you know what? Them not play for you know. They might play for Jamaica, so them still come. You can't stop them because they're a citizen. You could have fight all the one, have the thing them on the local island and do what you want to do. You can't tap them. They might come play. You can't stop it. They're a citizen. Yes, you can't have no quota system for the youth people them. Like Rudolph and all them have in JFF. You can't have no quota system, but you can't start play them come play. And we'll mash up the quota system at some point. Watch, we'll mash it up sometime. Because it's wrong. Anything wrong, we are beat out against anything wrong. Anything wrong, we are beat it until it's bloody. You can't prevent us overseas enough. I'm going to 10-year thing, so we have been for 10 years enough. You can't do that enough. But certain things you can't stop. You can't stop progress. First of all, about the sustainability. There's about 1.1 million Jamaicans, at last count I checked, in the US, about 800,000 in England, about 300,000 in Canada, and about a spread out of the world. Which means there's always going to be players flowing at some point in time. Yes, after a certain generation, that number may reduce. I lie not tell. The migration to England has stopped or slowed down significantly. Subsequent to World War II, through maybe mid-late 80s. After that, you know what happened? Them start coming to the US. You know what happened? As this with the under 15, are the US players them now or take it from the England players when they move on if we don't have enough people in England. So no can talk or no one talk it now stop. No can't stop way. No matter what no one say or no one do. Upon the island, no corner, no elitism. I try to tell people them who feel Jamaican and nonsense to not chat. Nonsense. We now stop come and no can't stop way. The US will have much more people and it's closer, you know. And like England, where some people can't come back to Jamaica and can have no money, you know. The US is different. And next door, people fly to Jamaica like go Miami. In fact, sometimes it's closer than some places in the US. You fly from LA to Jamaica, it's closer from New York to Jamaica than from New York to LA. And I can't stop with Gleaner. And I can't stop with JFF. We are going to play for the country. And can't stop with. And when we're better, we all play. Because we do a poor job of developing the kids them. And the kids them fault are phone fault. So when you write your paper and you write your thing, you talk about transient and I use derogatory term, but want to play international football. Of course, I want to play international football. Who don't want to play international football? All citizens have a right to play international football for their country if they're good enough. The problem we have in Jamaica is the coaches are not good enough. So why not fire the coach them and get some good one? So the players can be better. One to the under 20 team, we just put up the other day, Gleaner. Where your article on the under 20 should be part of this. They talk about we have talent on the island. Tell me the article on the under 20. Them get 9 from US. Let's not talk about the other kids them who get another 11, whatever number is. So I'm confused, Gleaner. I'm confused. The statement you made is very disrespectful to heritage personnel who love Jamaica and want to represent the country. You're basically saying local players don't want to play international football. What's the difference between a local developed player and overseas player want to play international football? They all have the same objective. And you them a bad mouth Jamaica. What makes a locally born player, Gleaner, more of a citizen than an overseas person being naturalized? So we're saying the 1.1 million people in the US who are Jamaicans, maybe half of them probably are citizens by now, are less of a citizen than people in the US. That's what we're saying, Similar in England. That's what we're saying. We are saying the Jamaicans who come to the US and get naturalized, like myself, and a ton of we there, are less of a citizen than people in the US. But the US allow us to vote. They will allow us to have great positions. Maybe they don't think we can be president. They will allow us to be senators. We have enough Jamaicans who are judges in the US and have our sort of jobs, significant roles in the US. So they should be restricted and should be treated like citizens. Really, Gleaner? That's how we live? Let's keep going. It says, put it another way. Replicating the Simone's Horace Burrell magic of 98 will be, as Mr. McClaren has already indicated, no easy feat. Even if it's achieved, which we hope it is, the gains will be fleeting if Jamaica thereafter returns to the inverted riding of the escalator that has marked its national football management in the quarter century since Paris. First, however, what they're talking about, people there, and we'll get to it, is basically saying the escalator is going overseas, trying to draw players in, overseas players, because obviously he's not working on the island. We can do both, You can beat the JFF like you're doing in this paper, which we get to, and also source players from overseas who are Jamaican citizens, because they're citizens and can't play for you. It says, first, however, notwithstanding Mr. McClaren's correct statement that access to resources won't by itself take Jamaica to the World Cup, it's an important component. And as this newspaper has pointed out, the current JFF president, Michael Ricketts, is no Horace Burrell. Here we go, people. No, them stop beat the JFF. It says, he has neither the charm nor the loquacious energy of the late former army captain that allowed him to entice state and corporate Jamaica to invest heavily in 98 Paris. First of all, Gleaner, using loquacious in the wrong context. Not such thing as loquacious energy. Loquacious means talkative. We don't know what you're talking about. If you want to say Burrell was articulate, charming, charismatic, yeah, but we don't know what you mean by loquacious energy. It makes no sense to me. Stop using big words, you don't understand. Anyway, and it says, and neither has Mr. Ricketts in his 6 years at the helm of the JFF demonstrated each management skills or imagination to compensate for the short-termism and project-by-project approach of the previous regime. The Federation remains, it appears, racked by inefficiency and a clunky approach to management. So what they're basically saying is that, I'm going to put it in my very succinct way, the JFF is inept. That's what they're saying. And they're saying it's against this backdrop that the Gleaner previously recommended to the JFF that it disband itself, making way for the constitution and incorporation of a new body to oversee Jamaican football. So, finally, I agree with them. Because I've said this before, people. More than one time. Not of more recent, maybe not in the last year. It's an interesting take by the Gleaner. And I've previously said that some people in the JFF, I'm not saying the entire JFF, do not have the skill set to move the organization forward and are either not self-aware or are just selfish in remaining in their position. They should do like what John F. Kennedy said, people, which is ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. I'll do what Joe Biden do. You know you'll lose, you step aside, make somebody take the reign. Because you know, say, you need to pass the mantle down. The JFF no one do that. The title of the article, Brian, is Steve McClaren's mandate. But the article delved into things other than just his mandate. It expounded upon things other than that. It was written 5 days ago. And I pulled it up. And I had it going through it in detail. before I brought it to the public domain. I figure a lot of people wouldn't read it because an editorial is not the thing that just jumps out at you. People don't read editorial sometimes. So it's interesting, actually, that they're basically saying the JFF is incompetent and should go. They should resign. Right? Because what they're saying is that you have no vision, you have no long-term strategy, and you are why we are where we are. You are why we have to go source talent from overseas and not source talent from the island. Look, people have always said this, which is this. And I said this about the under 20 team. I know for them fault, they got 9 from the US. They have not been coached the right way. The coaching in Jamaica is not sufficient. And it's been going on for a while. And we don't have people in positions with the skill set, the long-term view, the vision, the intellectual capital, the connections to move the program forward. It's not debatable. And the people are not self-aware enough to understand this and make changes and change. They don't have it. If you lack I always tell my staff this, people in the corporate environment, As I got older and got, I think, a little bit smarter, I realized that in the corporate environment, technical ability and self-awareness were probably the 2 biggest attributes that you need to have. You need to know your job, and you need to understand what you're good at, what you're not good at, what's around you, your environment you operate in, how it works, how you engage, a lot of different aspects and a lot of different attributes that come out based on that self-awareness. Either JFF people are selfish or they lack self-awareness. Because if you've been in this role for so long and you're not making progress, then it has to be you. And don't use the thing about resources. Because you know what? So where did Borough get resources from? Because what Borough did really well, actually, and by the way, people, Borough had enough faults. Enough faults, because Borough is a dictator. So we're not going to beat the dead today. A big-time dictator. And he created some of the problems that Jamaica have now in how we constructed. When he lost to, what's the guy he lost to? Boxill, what's the name of the guy he lost to way back when? He made sure he couldn't lose again. He do like Netanyahu you do. Set it up so he can't lose. I'm after always win. And a FIFA forced the JFF to change it, and you change much better, people. Same thing in a different form. And he said, when you go and quiz, hey, Alcova, me get banished, people stop coming from my program. You don't realize I be alone at them thing at daytime. I don't realize that Alcova, weird, man. I lack self-awareness, Alcova. Me take some people, the man them said, I'm busy, can't hang there with me. Me take a cup. Hey, me finish the article first, me finish the article, Whoever, who am I speaking to? Me finish the article first. Who am I speaking to? It's almost done. Who am I speaking to?
This is
Lansley Blake. Me finish the article, Lansley, and then we can have the conversation. Okay? It's all long. I mean, you're staying now. It's all long. Me finish it first. You can stay and finish it, right?
Okay.
It says volunteer guardianship. Alternatively, if you don't want to leave, as I say, this is my words, people. As we propose, the Federation might have subjected itself to a kind of volunteer guardianship, inviting independent stakeholders to have watchdog role over its activities. So what they're basically saying is this: if you don't want to leave, make somebody oversee you. It says, however, hubris, unfortunately, didn't allow the JFF to accept these sensible bits of advice. Well, hubris is a Jamaican thing, so I don't know where that go. It says, these, therefore, are amongst the reasons why we believe that Mr. McClaren's full report to FIFA on JFF, which was part of the Global Federation's effort to develop the sport internationally, would be useful. The report, we suspect, contributed to Jamaica being part of FIFA's talent development scheme that involved the training of several domestic soccer coaches. It may also influence FIFA's pressure on the JFF to amend its constitution to make its power base more inclusive. The power base right now, people, is not inclusive. That 50-some people them have, joker. One more thing they said. I mean, I would love to press McClaren. If I ever been in a room with McClaren today, I would love to press him on, you said there's talent in Jamaica. Oh, you know there's talent in Jamaica. Where you get this insight? Where you get this information? Who gave the information? Did you observe the talent? When did you observe the talent? How did you assess the talent? I would love to be intrusive in my questioning of him as to how he draws his conclusion. And also, were you part of the process by which the electorate was forced to be changed And how did you get satisfied with this electorate that is sufficient to make it a very inclusive process? I would love to know that. Here's the last point they made. Mr. McClaren has characterized his job as being to make the World Cup dream come alive by choosing the best players for the team, whether the domestic league or those of Jamaican heritage who play abroad. But he stressed that there has to be shared vision and commitment for there to be success. We might not have the greatest, this is McClaren speaking, we might not have the greatest resources, but it's the people, commitment, standard, and behavior that will make the difference, he said. Mr. McClaren is right, but that kind of success won't be sustained or can't be ready to be in the absence of strong foundation of domestic football from the grassroots to the top. Having to import someone like Mr. McClaren every World Cup cycle to cobble together a program just isn't sensible. This hopefully was amongst the issues Mr. McClaren addressed in the football ecosystem report on Jamaica for FIFA. Stakeholders should know if and how he answered that question, and if and how he intends to deal with as the national coach, presumably that's part of his mandate. I'm not sure what it means to import someone like McLaren. International coaches are imported 24/7 across different countries, even with countries that have good football program. Not sure I understand that. I understand the concept of not leveraging the totality of our population to identify the talent, nurture the talent, groom the talent, develop the talent. I'm all for that, wherever that talent resides. But when you come with your xenophobia and your elitism and your concept about you're the only people who are Jamaican citizens can you ban on the island, you know what I say? Go ahead. Go ahead, Pastor. It's all yours.
I am calling in because of the distress that you have caused or put me under with the reading of that article. You did not cite the name of the...
No, it's an editorial. There's no name. You know it's an editorial. There's no name.
It's an editorial.
It's an editorial, okay. Which means the organization stands behind it. This is not Pastor write it or Cranky write it. It's the Gleaner company.
No matter who write it, it is the Gleaner's
It's
editorial.
the Gleaner. Yes, it's the Gleaner's editorial.
It's the Gleaner.
Yes, it's the Gleaner.
So I'm going to start with the last one. The last part that you read. Why did Cayman Islands employ Carl Brown?
Because he's from because he's from Cayman Islands, must be.
Why did Dominica employ Vin Blaine? Why did Coley get jobs over in Europe? It is not stupidity. So I'm not saying the Gleaner writers are stupid. I grew up in a Jamaica where the RJR group sought to emulate BBC quality, of which Faye Ellington, who is one of the persons I've had the privilege of sitting in class with her as the lecturer or professor. So when an article like this comes from an institution with the heritage of the RJR group, modeled off BBC quality, it is an utter disgrace, and the Gleaner has fallen to the lowest possible media ebb, the lowest possible ebb. This is not just xenophobia. This is actually reaching the place of where you called hate. Because this editorial was not written without the knowledge of the continued disparaging and disregard and disrespect of the Jamaicans in the diaspora. Because if you're going to disrespect my son, you're going to disrespect me. We're a family. So every parent in the diaspora, you're disrespecting. And the Gleaner must write, and I'm saying it publicly, I am not going to stop on any platform that I go on to call out the Gleaner for this editorial. You're a disgrace to Jamaica and to everything Jamaican. And you cannot hide behind no amendment rights or no free speech. This is rubbish. When you get to the place of you're going to talk about transient heritage players, I know you know what the word means. So you use it deliberately to sow discord, to disenfranchise, to discriminate. The Gleaner is now a part of the disgrace that is called Jamaica Football Administration in this editorial. There is, I have been saying on platforms for over 2 years, and there are some little underdeveloped minds who like to try to clap back. Ignorant, underdevelopment, underdeveloped dwarf mentality people like to clap back. When I say the government need to take stock of the damage the JFF administration and all concerned with Jamaica football has been doing to brand Jamaica. There is no way that FIFA laws is greater than the law of any sovereign state. Football does not earn Jamaica 5% of its GDP.
What do you mean 5%? It's 18, 19%. It's not 5%. It used to be 5%. It's not 5%. Tourism is the biggest. Then is remittances. It's more than 5%.
Football. And a tourism is about cranky.
Huh?
Football does not earn Jamaica GDP.
Oh no. It doesn't. No, it doesn't earn anything. No. You're right. It doesn't do anything for GDP. I thought you were talking about Diaspora contribution back to the island of 3 point something billion.
No.
3 point something billion in 2022.
Contribution is only second to tourism.
Yes. And it's 18th of all the countries in the world. If you think about that, how much big countries we have with people who have migrated from them country.
Okay.
So we give out enough money at Jamaica. Enough.
For the government to have what is considered the national media house, because RJR Media Group is indicative of Jamaica media. To have them discriminate against citizens, disparage against citizens, to expose the country in a disgraceful way. Andrew Holness, whoever the Minister of Foreign Affairs is, whoever the Minister of Tourism is, Minister Babsy Grange in charge of sports and culture. You have all become complicit. That means you are as guilty. How then do you continue to expect support from the diaspora when you so openly, blatantly disgrace us? This is, frankly, it is not a mistake. Checks and balances was done for this editorial.
Of course,
so
it's an editorial.
That's right in the article that we can support.
No. Editorials, as you know, go through a lot of reviews to make sure it's the position of the organization. It's probably the most scrutinized article be written by any news organization.
This was done by the top writers in the Gleaner.
Yes.
And checked by all the top managers in the Gleaner.
Yep. And those words were deliberate to resonate.
Yes. I fully agree with that. They are hurtful words. They are xenophobic. They are destructive. And the Gleaner must apologize for it.
I don't think Jamaicans don't apologize, Pastor.
Cranky, you see, this is the thing. I remember some years ago in England, they raised bread by 14 cents. And they had to drop the price by must be 40-something cents when people revolted against it. Edward Siaga had made a statement when Jamaica continued its foolishness that Jamaicans are not hungry enough, and that's why they will not.
But Edward Saga was American, wasn't he?
I guess
he was born in Massachusetts. Was he born in Massachusetts?
I said, if Trump was in Jamaica, he would make sure you know if Edward Siaga is Jamaican or not. Because I am sure that the only place Edward Siaga have a birth paper for is Jamaica.
No, he was born in Massachusetts.
Cranky.
Yeah.
Cranky.
He was born in Massachusetts. I'm telling you. You didn't know this?
Cranky.
Come on, Pastor. He's born in Massachusetts.
Cranky.
Yeah.
Edward Siaga don't have no U.S. birth paper.
He was born in Massachusetts. I'm not asking you. Go do your research. Go do your research, Pastor. Go do your research.
Okay.
No, nobody fooled you, Pastor. No, because the people at Tivoli accept him in born in Massachusetts. Trust me. But keep going, Pastor. Trust me, Pastor. You missed the one, Pastor. You missed the one. But born in Massachusetts in born. You know, born in Jamaica. Now, Jamaica doesn't have the same.
He was not born on the land.
He wasn't born in Jamaica. No, he born in Massachusetts.
No, he was not born on the land. He was not born on the land. He was born in transit.
Okay, if you want to call it in transit, in Register America, then put it that way. If anybody born in transit or not, in Register America, in American citizenship.
He was born in transit.
Okay.
Anyway.
So, wait, Pastor, before you go, you know that a lot of Jamaicans would go overseas and have their babies. They go overseas,
yes,
rent some place for 3 months, have the babies, and go back home.
Yes.
The elites.
Yes.
In fact, when I was in England, I said this before, I met somebody when I was trying to rent an apartment around Chelsea area who said, "Oh, you from Jamaica?" I didn't tell them I was born in England. You're from Jamaica? Oh, I've rented this. They give me names. 2 or 3 people come over and then rent 3 months and then have the baby and go back home in Jamaica. So it's something that elites do.
It is. I'm not just elite. You have a whole heap of people, even Higglers.
Well, they may, yes. Some Higglers will do that. Yes.
Even Higglers do it. They have the laws have changed though. I think about 10 years ago they were doing something to restrict it in America, so the children would not be citizens like that. There were some stipulations that were put in. I'm not too clear as to the exact details of how that law actually worked out, but there were some stipulations put in place to reduce the whole practice of it.
Right.
But back to the editorial. The cover with the good parts of the editorial, that's just for cover. That is just for cover. They keep pressing this issue that there are talents on the island. You are one of the persons who disagreed with me when I spoke to the issue of how it was stated in the press conference and the need for Simon to bring some clarity.
No. Here's the reason why. No. Here's when let's go back to that, Costa. Let's be clear to the audience. My view on that on the island was Simon didn't say that all these people were talented. He talked about who made the team, the 14 people part of the national team.
Yes.
But he didn't really talk about, because they be a part of the national team doesn't mean that they would have made the national team in the normal circumstances.
But
Remember, one second. Remember play Trinidad now.
Simon told the coach.
Yeah, but I'm saying I don't think Simon was trying to mislead the coach.
No.
That was my point.
I didn't think anything about what Simon said.
Right.
When I made my statement, I was speaking singularly to how the coach put it and the context in which the coach said it. Because if you view the context, what the coach said puts Simon in a bad light. Because anybody who was not privileged to the conversation between the coach and Simon cannot, all you're going to come up with is innuendos and speculation. But how the coach said it, I was talking to Simon, and Simon told me 14 players got their debuts this year. He didn't even say JPL players then, It was when he used the conjunction to qualify that statement after the conjunction that you could identify that he was speaking specific to the locally born players.
McLaren was wrong. Look, I'll say this, Pastor. Coaches, just like you see with Hargrimson when he was was introduced as Ireland's coach. Coaches sometimes want to put on the best face and the best image in the first initial press conference, make the best impression, and sometimes they go overboard. And both Hargrimson, in his response to the question about the kid, Mason Greenwood, and also McLaren about talent on the island, they went overboard. He didn't know enough to make that statement. I don't care what he says about the assessment due to FIFA.
And all I'm saying is, to this day, having watched, rewatched the press conference, Simon image, based on the channels that he has on YouTube and the posture he takes with those channels, was put in a bad light by McClaren's statement. To this day, I hold that view, despite watching this press conference over and over.
Right.
And I'm speaking only to what the coach said, in the context the coach said it. I have no information as to the conversation between him and Simon. But the context in which he said, the coach said it, places Reggae Boyz commentary in a bad light. Having said that, after McClaren said, but the local born players must have the quality. The heritage players must have the quality. McClaren, as far as I've heard, is charged with the responsibility of getting us to the World Cup. The JFF knows that if Jamaica fail in this cycle for the World Cup, there is nothing they can sell the public. Again. So that is why they did not package McClaren's deal like they did Hal Grimson. So I am anticipating to see the difference in treatment of McClaren being authorized and autonomized to select his own team. I don't believe the JFF has the capability or the quality to stop doing wrong. Jeremiah chapter 13 and verse 23 says,
and see, Pastor can help people. Me and Pastor have a problem with them thing in a Pastor.
Can an Ethiopian change his skin?
Yeah, no, he can't. No, he can't.
the
He can't. They have
leopard
bleaching. They have bleaching. You can change the skin.
change his what?
You have bleaching, Pastor. What do you mean, Pastor? You can change the skin. You see some entertainer.
Then can evildoers do righteous thing or
But Pastor, I'm serious, Pastor. You can't say somebody can change them skin. You can change the skin. Michael Jackson did it. Some other entertainment did it.
no, he didn't change his skin.
The color of his skin changed.
The word for it in Jamaica for the bleachers is that they are toning.
They're toning. I've never heard that before.
That's what they said.
They're toning.
They're tucking up.
I thought the people who go in the sun.
Then may ye also do
tone.
good that are accustomed to do evil. How do you, who have had an innate characteristic and disposition to do evil, just suddenly start do good, and you did not go to Calvary and watch? You did not give your life to Jesus. You did not repent of your sin, because up to now JFF has not taken accountability for none of the wrongdoings that they have been doing. Then win the election and they move on. And in the words of Mr. Speed, the JFF will do better in this term than they did. And they started off doing that, you know. But as is the weather condition, it changes ever so often.
Wait, but Pastor, before we go further, this was not a beat the JFF session, you know. This is a session just talking about an article and what the article says and responding to the article.
Beating the JFF.
No, I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying that the whole purpose of this discussion and the whole premise of it and the whole reason for it is that the Gleaner's editorial talking about McClaren's mandate, which evolved into, as they went through their process, the narrowness of the mandate, the fact that we're not leveraging McClaren's experience, skill set, capabilities, and the fact that they've asked the JFF to basically give up the role or get an overseer, and their suggestion have not been accepted and taken on board. Go ahead, Pastor.
Since I have clearly stated I am not meeting the JFF, let me clearly state the Gleaner owes the Diaspora an apology. They must retract this editorial.
Well, no, I think they should retract aspects of the editorial, not the entire editorial, because I agree with some elements of it. Yes.
Frankie,
elements of it.
Trick me. They cannot trick me. The part in there about leveraging McClaren's experience.
No, I'm talking about the part. No, the part about the JFF where they're saying the JFF leadership needs to be. I'm gonna put in a more euphemism. Needs to be better, and the JFF, if they can't help themselves, should get others to help them.
Frankie,
yes.
Frankie, we are not meeting the JFF. Everybody in the world by now know that the JFF is what you could classify a de facto organization. They do as they wish, when they wish. The fact that the leading or one of the leading media houses in Jamaica, certainly the largest media group in Jamaica, the RGR Media Group is the single largest media group in Jamaica, put out an editorial like this, it is a goddamn disgrace. You cannot be so disparaging of your citizens. When you're going to state that in a sense, you know, what they are saying, you know, is that the players that we are getting, you know, cannot make the teams of the countries they are born in, you know. They are born in, you know.
But everybody in Jamaica said that.
That's no, hold on, Cranky.
Well, I shouldn't say everybody. A lot of people in Jamaica said that. But I'm just saying they're saying it in a very disparaging way, which is rejects.
Of the persons who are in positions in football administration and management in Jamaica is of that view.
Yes.
And that is why it is coming out of the major media house in Jamaica.
Yes.
Because the whole of them are in their same body club.
Yes. That's without a doubt. They're all in the same elitist circles. And they all have the same view. They all talk the same. They think the same. They operate the same.
Prime Minister need to step in. He need to write FIFA and get FIFA to correct it.
No, bro got have much more problem to step in with them thing. Yeah. Bro got to manage him own house and he can't manage him house. I mean, no, he won't do that. He can't do that.
I am not going into that because I never hear Mrs. Brogan complaining that he's not managing.
No, Jamaica is his house. You're talking about his home. No, we're talking about his house.
Hello.
Jamaica is his house.
Hello?
Mm-hmm.
There was a time in Jamaica when Roger Clark was responsible for rehabilitating the most roads in Jamaica. I don't believe there is a prime minister that can lay claim to the amount of infrastructural advancement in Jamaica as Andrew Holness at this time in our history. I am not saying that he is doing well. I am saying he's doing something.
No, we're not going to dispute that he's doing something. We want him going to, we could have a long conversation about this, but we won't have a conversation.
And I'm saying he still needs to do better.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
So let me leave it at that. He cannot absent himself from one part of the duty as prime minister only to shore up one part. No, so this prime minister job is a full job for the entire country and all the citizens. So where there is discrimination of any citizen of Jamaica, it is Andrew Holness' responsibility.
No, I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. But do you know if he thinks the same way or not? But Pastor, all you know, his views is not the same as those in the elite circles, because they're all in the same circle.
Hold on. No, this is why I keep calling, because if it is the view of the prime minister that it is okay to discriminate against the citizens in the diaspora, then the diaspora now need to take action, collapse the budget so that Andrew has to demit office. If that is the case, and this don't have nothing to do with which party they vote for. I am a citizen of Jamaica, and if the prime minister is failing at his job, he should be prime minister no more.
And by the way, people, don't go and say that Cranky and Pastor say Andrew Holness is agreeing with discrimination. The question is asked, which is, how do we know what his views are? Because we don't know what his views are. So go ahead, Pastor.
And we will not know what their views are until they address this continuation, this problem. The sports minister, Minister Grange, the Minister of Tourism, I think I still Ed Bartlett. I don't know who is the Minister of Foreign Affairs. By the way, discrimination is supposed to be a criminal act. So all the Minister of Security need to get involved. Even the Minister of Security must get involved.
Well, I would say for discrimination between the government of Jamaica and FIFA, it should be addressed. And I would love to hear from McLaren at some point as to his views on that, given that he represented FIFA and was part of this assessment process whereby the JFF was pushed to expand the electorate. I would love to hear his perspective on that, actually.
Cranky, there can be nothing in FIFA's constitution or mandate that says sovereign states, the leaders of any sovereign state cannot call their attention to something in the football administration in that country.
Right, but they can't interfere in the administration of the football, though.
I'm not saying that the government must take over football in Jamaica.
Okay.
I'm saying the government must demand that FIFA address what you would call their affiliate.
Yeah.
Because it is disgracing the country. And if the Prime Minister demand of FIFA to intervene, it will get fixed. So the sports minister needs to lobby the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Prime Minister to get to FIFA.
Yeah.
Frankie, when it reached to the level, people don't see this thing, And I was watching the comments, People seem not to understand the gravity of this continued rubbish that they are perpetuating,
Yeah, I mean, I think they're doing something bad to achieve something in their own mind, which is good, right? So the premise that they made is that to develop the football, they have to restrict people from overseas in diaspora from certain numerical advantage in the national team. So if they give opportunity to local players for different reasons, it will somehow equalize the playing field at some point in time.
Reason except that they matriculate or they have the quality to perform at that level.
Exactly. So it's not based on
other reason except that one.
Exactly. And I think that what I basically said is that find a different way, but that's not the right way. You can't, two rights don't make a wrong. Or trying to do something good by doing something wrong is not helping. It's can't be right. It cannot be right. So what they need to do is, and they've basically pushed their chest out and basically saying, "I can't tell what to do. We run things." I must say that in that way.
That's exactly what they're doing. But hold on. If they have the backing of the major media houses, who are going to talk to them?
Exactly.
Because the media houses is printing and echoing their same idea. Because only different word the Gleaner editorial use than what some of these crundrels on YouTube talk about England reject. Only different word they use is the same thing they must say.
Yeah, they're more cute. They're more cute.
Want to play international football.
They're more cute with their language, but it's still the same, right? It's one of the same. When you start people calling transient heritage, I gotta go back.
It is so damn inflammatory and disingenuous.
Yeah.
It cannot get no worse. Not lasting, not enduring. So it means these guys are coming here. They are the same ones that sell this foolishness about the players from the diaspora not committed.
Yeah. Yes, we have seen some local players, born players, who have not committed, by the way.
Hello.
That's not debatable or disputable.
Cranky. We have seen a JFF administration that is not committed to the success of Jamaica. That is not committed to the success of Jamaica.
Well, they may be committed, but their commitment is misplaced in terms of how they get things done.
An administration is not committed to the success of Jamaica. The basic premise of majority of the leadership of the JFF is that there is sufficient talent on the island that all we need is to develop them, and we don't need nobody from the diaspora, which is the biggest load of filth that can come out of anybody's mouth.
But here's what's interesting, Pastor, which people don't seem to realize, which is if you export half your population, right, overseas, and you export a lot of people with a lot of intellectual capital, why wouldn't you leverage it? Or is it that you leverage it, it's going to be at your own expense, just like the kids people don't realize it now. It's the same thing. For every position that's open, where you may engage from the diaspora, it means somebody local will be displaced from that position, even though they may not be qualified. It's no different from the whole concept that we have.
You cannot displace someone who was not in the position. And you should never be in the position if you're not qualified from it.
But that's the point, though, which is if you bring in people from that, give them an equal chance with you, you may not be able to attain the position you attain. So you'll have the same quota you have, except in a different form and a different way of exercising that quota. You set up a barrier, say, you know what, you got to be on the island for 10 years to be part of the JFF. And you know a lot of people will not be in that situation. So you've excluded a whole realm of people from being able to
Hello.
pursue any position in your organization?
Let me give you a simpler qualifying of what you just said. The most successful arm of the Jamaica Football Federation was the ambassador position that Sidela Marley occupied. And when FIFA ensured that the constitution was rewritten, even though they're using ambassador position now with the senior male team, they did not make the ambassador position a part of the constitution because it doesn't suit them. They don't want anybody away from their bodies to be a part of the administration of football in Jamaica. So they coined the constitution to exclude everybody from their body club.
Yep. That is obvious. It's by design. It's not by mistake.
It is no mistake. It's by design, and that is why I take issue with the editorial that you read. And I don't care what glowing iron is in it. This editorial was specifically designed to throw shades on the players from the diaspora at the point, because McClaren's single duty is to get us to the World Cup, and McClaren's major statement is that he is going to be scouting looking players. And that is why the Gleaner wrote the editorial that way.
Well, no, I would say, Pastor, I don't necessarily agree with you. I think they wrote editorial to say a combination of things. One is we depend too much on players who are born overseas, and we need to develop more local players. Two is you brought somebody who have all this experience, and therefore want you leveraging it holistically versus very siloed and very narrow. That's all good. But you don't have to denigrate a group of people to make your point.
When your motive and your motive is evil, there is no good in nothing that you said. And I put it to you, I am not a politician, but I have been part of writing of constitutions for different clubs and societies. I know what constitution entails. I have read into international laws and I've done introduction to political science. When I tried to enter politics, they did not want me, so I go elsewhere.
What I say, you're too loquacious.
A politician has to have certain characteristics, and they did not see those characteristics in me. I will leave it at that. No, back to the point. How can you, being evil, suddenly become good? The Jamaica football apparatus has been seeking to replicate the $1 million transfer fee of Billy Gardner to Bolton Wanderers unsuccessfully from 2008 till now. I have news for the administration of the football apparatus. Jamaica Premier League as a professional league is not sustainable in a country like Jamaica without a football heritage. There is no rich fool on earth foolish enough to waste their money where there is not sustained profit to be had. Saying it that way is to state my position. The JPL will never become professional for a period longer than 2 seasons. So all who are run around like headless chicken, expecting people to put white powder on black duck back, invest money into making Jamaica Premier League. No amount of them body coming together can make that league professional and sustain it for more than 2 seasons. Not one. If they can't run their individual clubs professionally.
Yeah, but Pastor, you got to start somewhere, right? So I am supportive of the JFF, the local authorities trying to bring more resources and improve the local league. But I think
they should improve it, Frankie.
Right, but I think that
I applaud all of the improvement that they're doing.
Right. But I do think this starts at the grassroots needs to change. The grassroots construct needs to change.
Hold on. When you're doing business, there is such a thing called a feasibility study. First thing, how many footballers is of the quality from Manning and the Costa Cup each year that has the academic qualification to get college scholarship? Of the 300 plus athletes that play football, maybe you have every year about 5 or so. I'm not sure, so I'm just throwing a number out there.
I don't know what the numbers are.
I'm not sure, but I'm sure it's not a large number. And the reason you have schoolboy footballers at 19 in Jamaica is because they lack the academic qualifications for them to go to college. Because if they had the academic qualifications, by the time they finish 5th form, they would have had 5 or more subjects that most of them would have gone to college.
But suppose they can't afford to go to college, Pastor.
Frankie.
No, Pastor. I'm asking the question.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
If you go down that road, I know one beating you're going to get from Pastor Blake.
Pastor?
You're going to get
Pastor.
beat up,
Pastor.
Let me answer you.
Pastor. No, Pastor. No. Listen, Pastor. Pastor, don't go on a path where you'll lose.
Frankie.
Go ahead. I tell you that right now.
Frankie.
Yeah?
I worked and studied. I still have 4 brothers alive and one of my 2 sisters that know this to be true. I have many batchmates at McClaren's Agricultural School that are involved on YouTube in terms of watching YouTube. I have been working and studying from age 15. My parents paid my first term fee at McClaren's Agricultural School for September and December. They are now dead, so I can have them call in and say, yes, he told the truth. I worked on campus and studied to finish my 3-year program at McClaren's. I work and study to pay when I started College of Agriculture. I didn't finish up there. But I worked my way all through the 4-year program at Northern Caribbean University, even though it took me longer than 4 years to finish because I was a full-time working student. Don't tell me that they can't afford it. I don't know of a country, well, I don't know many countries, but all of the persons that make headway out of Jamaica learn this one thing. You make sacrifices to achieve what you want.
So, Pastor, I'm going to take a task. No, Pastor, hold up, Pastor. I'm going to take a task on this. I want to digress from the football, but I'm going to say this about this. I know personally, kids in Jamaica who have their subjects, who didn't have the money and couldn't go to college. I know personally, and I know a couple who I'm actually sending college in Jamaica now. So I'm not ask the pastor, I tell you. This is not, pastor. This is not debatable.
Cranky.
If you want to go to if you're going to CAST, for example, we call it CAST, UTech, for example, pastor, all in between boarding and tuition and food, it will cost you between 12 and 15 G a year for one person. And that's just minimum because you have to live with somebody. Pastor, I'm telling you this is not guessing. I'm telling you.
And I want you to pause.
I am paused. But you've been doing most of the talking. I've been pausing most time for the evening.
I know a whole lot of people who have their subjects and did not afford to go to college. Could not afford to go to college. They were not willing to do some things that they were required to do to get to college.
Pastor, not everybody will say, hold up, Pastor. We can't make this blanket statement, right? A lot of Jamaican footballers go to college. Yes, some may not have done their schoolwork because not the kids are not smart enough. They haven't gotten the push.
No, we're not talking about smarts. We're talking about qualifications.
Right. So some may have the qualifications, still don't go for different reasons. Some may have the qualification, don't have the know-how to figure out how to get there, and some need help.
So it's not that they could not go. It's that they did not go.
But if you don't have the money, if you don't have money, you don't know how to go get the money. Then how you gonna go?
Cranky. Listen, the reason I can speak to this is because I have been at different ends of the pendulum on this particular subject. Not only did I work and study through agricultural school and through seminary, I also, when I got my first pastoral district, was responsible for the most young people leaving those communities that my pastorate covered going to college. Not all of them came from families that had the money to send them to college. Most of them did not. But they went because they had the qualifications to go.
But Pastor, I'm telling you, my concern here is you're making blanket statements, and I'm saying we got to manage those blanket statements.
Which can be and is substantiated by
no, it's not. No, because I'm living it now, so I'm telling you no. I'm living it now, so I'm telling you no. I'm living it now, so I'm telling you no.
Frankie,
yes.
Frankie, let me tell you. Let me break down something for you. In 2000 and
I know, we know we drift from the subject in the past. We had drift. Let's wrap it up. Come on, let's wrap it up, Pastor. Yeah.
In 2004, the conference responsible for the churches in Jamaica that I was a part of gifted $4.6 million to people pursuing their academic dreams. I did not say lended them, gave them to different institutions across the conference. Every conference in Jamaica, I'm talking about the church, the Seventh-day Adventist Church, give away different amount of money on their education fund to people pursuing academia within their conference. And they don't have to be church members. That is not the only route to get assistance, Cranky.
I understand that, Pastor, but I'm saying, I'll go back to the point. If we make these blanket statements, we got to manage those blanket statements. Yes, people may see opportunities. And I guess somebody just told me that over the last 4 years, they know of 2 schools in which over 70 boys have got, or 80 boys, 78 boys or so have gotten scholarship to go overseas. So a lot of kids go overseas, especially if we go to like Monroe, those schools, and Manning's, those schools where academic is good, and in KC, they get scholarships.
What I'm saying,
yeah.
So Frankie, what I'm saying, there's a difference in could not go to college and did not go to college. Because with some amount of advice, a lot of who did not go could have gone. With some amount of aid, a lot of who did not go could have gone.
Yes, but there's some people who qualify academically, but don't have the wherewithal, the finances, the know-how to get the financial support to go to college. And I'm telling you, Pastor, I know this personally. I'm not guessing. I'm not making some statement off the top of my head.
And I'm going to take issue with the word that you are using.
Which is?
You say they could not go to college, and I'm telling you that is wrong. Because there are opportunities and avenues that they could have gone that they did not go. There
right, but Pastor,
they did not do.
Pastor, if you don't have the knowledge, then you couldn't go. People don't seem to realize that they're one and the same. If you don't, Pastor, if you don't have the knowledge about something, then how are you going to pursue it?
Cranky.
Yes.
You want me to believe a child goes to school, gets to high school, do from first form to fifth form, acquire 5 or more subjects, and don't know what is the value of those 5 subjects?
No, Pastor. Pastor, we're going to close this down. Let me just say this. The point I'm making is this. Sometimes you'll go to school, you do well academically, you don't know how to source your financial needs to allow you to pursue advanced education.
That.
But that's the point I'm making. Yes.
I can agree. Hold on. But watch this now. In my first pastoral district, there were some young people who did not know how to source. But that is the purpose of the shepherd, to provide for and lead the sheep to greener grass. So the pastor told them where to write the letter, told them who to seek audience with, and made a recommendation in their behalf.
But Pastor, we're not saying things different than Pastor. If I don't know who the shepherd is, if I don't know he's a shepherd at all, how will I even get that insight, that advice, that mentoring
Frankie,
to be able to do that? Yes.
Frankie, there's an entity in Jamaica called the Seventh-day Adventist Church. It is the fastest growing denomination in Jamaica. We baptize close to 10,000 people, if not more than 10,000 people every year. I've said that to say this. If you are alive in Jamaica and is worthy of the breath that God passed through your nostril, you can get help. Because the Adventist Church is all about doing that. And as I said, a pastor who is pastoring in a community is not just pastoring his members alone.
I hear you. All right, Pastor, we have a close it down on a point there.
Yes. So I will leave it on that. You see, that is one more subject for your other channel.
Yeah. No, Pastor, on the other channel, you can come get your beating. That's all I have to say.
Cranky.
This is a sports channel and we digress quite a bit, but company other channel can get your beating. The
amount of beating you ever get if you approach this pastor to beat him.
Okay.
I pray God I'll be able to ball out and say, no, give him so much.
All right, Pastor. All right, Pastor. We'll see. I'm starting my channel again next week, so we'll have the conversation. All right.
Okay.
All right, Pastor. Thank you. Very good.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
the call, sir. Appreciate the call.
Yes, sir.
All right. That's Lansley Blake, alias Pastor, alias Mr. Loquaciousness, Mr. Verbose. All right, people. So we only have 21 minutes left. I don't want to call in. But that was good discussion with Pastor, actually, talking about a different subject. We transitioned from the Gleaner, the JFF competence to probably in the educational arena and qualification. But I think the theme is around qualification, people, which is around are the people who are running different organizations, even include some elements of the Gleaner, are they qualified to do their jobs? And if they qualify to do their jobs, why do they do it in the way they do it? The view that the Gleaner provided around calling people transient and calling them all these names is not warranted, Gleaner. You can do better. You must do better. You should do better. It's not okay. And this concept about if I source players from overseas is not sustainable, I actually disagree with that. I know what you're trying to say, but I think you have it wrong. It is sustainable. But what you don't want is to leave anybody behind. What you don't want is to have a whole group pool of players that you can't leverage because you haven't coached them, developed them, invest in them enough to compete on the international stage. What you don't want is the dissension we see between those who are local and those who are overseas. And we want to blame just resources for the netness that we are exhibiting. Good evening. Who am I speaking to?
Hello. Welcome to the Politics Watch. Thank you, oh God.
Hey, me, I must run for the program now. I don't want even no politics, man. I'm afraid of the politics people start. And you know, it sound like him a little bit.
Can we do something?
I thought it was an AI. I thought it was an AI saying the Politics Watch.
What are you dealing with?
I am here talking about some Gleaner editorial that was read out to the people.
But Mr. Pastor have your way, man.
Well, Pastor has his perspective on things, and he's he has points of view and perspective, and he's very strident in his view and perspective. But he's not always right. I know Pastor think he's always right, but he's not always right.
You know, McCall to add to it though is that he said that I think you made a statement that some people could not get it done, or somebody could not get it done.
Right.
That is schooling, and that is a fact. Not everybody in Jamaica would know about these programs. And a year past, I bring up statistics of how many persons the 7th day baptized for the year and all of these things. That doesn't mean that the information is out there, because how many of these people put out the information on certain platforms that these people frequent? You get what I'm saying? So you can't just make a blanket statement that these are things that are happening,
right?
And persons should know. I mean, social media, sometimes some of the churches are not on social media or as active on social media as they should be. That's where a lot of young people are.
Yeah, it means it. I tell Pastor said, Pastor, I'm living this right now, right? So I actually know a few people. I won't go into details. But one of the persons apply for financial aid, Minzy. And then basically, so the person probably make them not qualify financial aid, Minzy. I am still puzzled why that's be the case, given the person's financial situation, right? It makes no sense why they wouldn't qualify. I don't know what the criteria is, but trust me. So I'm living this right now with a few people going to college in Jamaica. So when Pastor is telling me this, I'm laughing, saying, and the people have subject, right? Each of them have 8. Not like they have 1 or 2 subjects, and they have good grades with the subject, right? They have 8, but they're not familiar with the total process. And even when they try to pursue financial aid in some process, they got no support. So then they're left at limbo, right? And that's where I had to step in. And I'm saying, I understand what Pastor is saying about some people having access and know-how and pursue other avenues, but there's some people who even don't know, or when they do, they don't get the support. And then what do they do after that?
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah. Just that McCall for add on the point of view.
I thought you can't beat the JFF.
No, man. Never make a video about it, man.
Yeah, but when I read the editorial, I was a little bit. Look, I agree with some aspect of the editorial, what they say. I was telling Pastor, it's not the whole editorial should be blasted. There are aspects of it. But the way they make their points sometimes, I'm not sure if they're trying to get the local people on the ground to have it more impactful for them about how they say it. But they got to manage words. Words are important. Words hurt. Words have significant negative effect on people sometimes, the way you use them. They could make their point and get to the same place by just saying, we got to be more inclusive in the process. We have to build up our local players so they can compete internationally. We have to have a larger pool to draw from for our national team. You can't call the people them transit. transient, I should say, sorry, and also the name to make a point, and they just want to play international football and all that stuff. First of all those people we're pursuing those kids sometimes, right? We're the ones saying, please come play for us, and then we want to denigrate and belittle them. That don't make no sense, right? That don't make no sense. That's not helping anybody. So I don't get that sometimes. I don't get that. Words are important. I'm not sure they use their words in the right way, Minzy. But I would love to see your perspective on this at some point when you do your video. We'll see what the video says. Yeah, man. Yeah, I appreciate the call.
All right. Yeah, man. Big up yourself.
Yeah,
come here, I do my show, you know.
All right, politics. Later. That was Minzy. So I'm going to do him show. Hopefully more people will take this up. I know Manning's man have his show. I know Minzy have show. I know people have them shows, people. I think that editorial was important from the view that I don't disagree with everything in the editorial, but there are elements and different aspects of it which should be revisited by how the Gleaner wrote what they wrote, because I don't think it's fair. I think it's gotten ridiculous the way we're divisive when it comes to ourselves. I know, people in Israel are complaining about every single person who is Jewish, born in every part of the world, are automatically Jewish citizens. So, nobody complain about that, and I whine about it, and I complain. They had them go in their army to go fight war. One of the first person that was killed in the situation in Gaza was an American kid who was a Jewish citizen, dual citizenship, and he got killed. So I don't get the divisiveness. It doesn't make any sense to me. Instead of us trying to be one, collate, work together to achieve a common goal, which is not to improve each other, we're gonna have people in the institution or in the media, the highest element of the media in Jamaica, and they're divisive in their rhetoric. It doesn't make no sense to me, people. Bless up, family vibes. Thanks for joining. Doesn't make any sense, people. We have to find a better way to be better as people amongst each other, right? And my show today wasn't to beat the JFF. The Gleaner beat them enough, but not to beat them. I've thought about the JFF enough. The JFF doesn't have any. The JFF is like an authoritarian, dictatorial organization. They don't have to listen to anybody. They control the apparatus. They can do what they want to do, and we can't do anything about it. And they can push their chest out and say that, you know what, I can't do nothing. The JFF hasn't come and talk about the under 20. They're still going to say something, but they run to jump out to talk about other things which they do good. So you know what? When things are bad, you come to the fan base, you come to your stakeholders and talk. And when things are good, you come and talk. It's fine. Equal opportunity. But don't come to us and talk when things are just good. And when things are really bad, when you are culpable, you go hide. And then say, we'll come talk to you later. When you talk to me, when it blew over and people forget and move on, that's not being accountable. That's not being responsible. That doesn't work. No, Pastor, we're not saying the religious organization don't do good enough. We're not saying that all, Pastor. We can talk about that on my other channel, but we're not saying them not do good. But not everybody know about what they do. Not everybody's familiar with them. And not everybody know how to leverage them. And them can't do everything for everybody. They don't have that much resources. But people, we only have about 12 minutes left now. So if you want to call in, as Langsley just did, as Minji just did, please do so. If you have other things you want to talk about, because we only have 12 minutes left. This is a tour program. But I'm glad to see the interaction and the comments and the calls about this subject. I think it's important, actually, for us as a people to, you hear me give, because I'm an equal opportunity to people. And the JFF may take these things personal sometimes, but don't take it personal, JFF. Can we call out the fans them? But no, you're nobody that complain from JFF when we call out fans. I know someone in the JFF don't want to talk to me no more, no one engage with me. I mean, we can't live with that. But when I complain, we call out the fans them, so we now support the team. When I complain, we call out the players, but I was going to get called out and go down on feelings. Hey, that's how life go. When we get over it. That's how life is. I am an equal opportunist, but when I'm going to talk about things, I give laudatory comments when they're deserved. And if I see things that are right, I'm going to call it out, because that's what we should do. So we have this platform for, to be as objective as possible, to be as independent as possible, to make sure that we're as transparent as possible, and to make sure people understand what position we are, right? That's how it should be. Yes, R&R, I stopped calling her out though. I stopped calling her out. And it's not to bash anybody now. I'm not trying to bash the JFF. I'm not trying to bash the players. I'm not trying to bash the fans. I'm not trying to bash the media. But if they put something out in the public domain or don't put something that they should, then you know what? It has to be brought up and we have to discuss it. Right? And one of the problem I have also is that Claudine said there's financial aid. Claudine, I'm telling you, Claudine, I know there's financial aid, but I'm telling you, Claudine, I know somebody who make little and nothing and couldn't get financial aid, Claudine. Don't ask me how. They didn't qualify. And I'm wondering, is the qualification mean you have to make 0 or 10 cents? I don't know what the qualifications are, but it wasn't a good look. It wasn't a good look. So my pocket is lighter. But anyway. But no, it's important for us to have these dialogue in these forums and talk about matters that arise. I think it's important for us to do that. And when I see editorial like this from the Gleaner, and as I said, the aspect of the editorial I agree with, including the narrowness of McClaren's mandate, which is part of what the editorial is written about, which is why you just having a man trying to qualify for the World Cup? Why is this mandate broader? I agree with that. But to make your point doesn't mean you have to disparage or denigrate or belittle anybody to make your point, Gleaner. You don't have to do that. You can't make your point without belittling anybody. Seriously. Good evening.
Yes, good evening. I'm calling from the Gleaner Company of Jamaica, and I overheard some conversation on this program that I'd like to.
I've never heard you call before. It's the first time you're calling. Welcome, caller. Who am I speaking to? Oh, the Gleaner Company. Are you the editor that wrote? Are you the editor that oversee the article was written?
Yes, and I think you're misrepresenting my article. Then.
So please explain how I'm misrepresenting the article. Please explain.
I don't know. I mean, you're taking my words out of context.
Maybe you're not. I know it's you. I just read the words you're writing down, and I interpret them. So maybe I misinterpret your words. I just read what you wrote.
Yeah, but I saw the article. But you know what? I mean, there's so many things happening. But let us say with Pastor's call, I do agree that some persons do not go to college, but there are persons who don't have, they have the academical, but all the other resources needed, maybe because of where they're raised, they probably don't have family members who have gone on to those things to seek scholarships and funding. And not every place there's a church that provides that kind of information, or even people within the communities that help them. And so there are many persons like that. But the numbers in terms of in Jamaica, people in sports going away, in particular football. Kingston College every year sends away people on scholarship, and people wonder why they didn't come back and play. They go away on scholarship. In fact, it's one of the reasons why many kids stay in school a little longer than normal, because they want to do the SATs sometimes in January to go on to scholarship. Right. So like schools like Monroe and Mullins, like every year as part of our programs, because we have connection because of our past students with certain colleges that helps us to get kids into college. So we have numerous kids every single year for a program. Monroe has a similar program as well, to the point where they invite other schools to bring their students there for the opportunity, KC and JC. So well, I understand this point, but the numbers, the 5 out of the 300 is not the most accurate number. Well, Cranky, you know what, we need voices. I oftentimes say this on my program, right? A lot of times, like mainstream media, both the print media, they get away with a lot of things that if you were to say it on your program, it is scrutinized even by mainstream media. But there's like in Jamaica, code of conduct as it relates to them. Like you're not supposed to raise these issues, because who are you to come and speak about us like that? Right. And you know, long we have been here, we build this. If it weren't for us, then you would not have had a foundation. And so I'm glad that you took up the article to speak on it, because it is important that those words, because these are the people sometimes who spread the kind of narrative that get into other spaces.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to say the whole article was bad, because I think the part about the narrowness of McClaren's mandate, which I agree with in some respects, because what they're saying is if he comes here and he has this experience, why aren't you leveraging it more holistically versus so narrow? I understand what Speed and Rudolph and Ricketts are trying to do, but I think there's enough bandwidth in McClaren to expand his remit, right? To have him be part of the process. I try to put a strategy in place. What I take onus to, or what I take final up front, is when you are trying to make your point and you're using others to make it, and you're creating division and divisiveness, that's not okay. And you should not get away with that. You can make your point without being so negative about people who are naturalized being part of the process. Because all they're trying to help, you may not like it, but they're trying to help the country and help the football and help. And when, and you know what, man, is the weird thing about this, the whole process? When we go, if we go World Cup, either I get most of the money or we get most of the money at Jamaica. They will get some money, right, for the achievement.
Yeah.
But isn't the program going to benefit significantly, both the prominence and monetarily? So why are we being this negative? And
Yeah, I think
yeah,
though,
yeah.
I think though, and you're right in what you said, but I also believe though that and this is where no discussion needs to take place. What I would say is that though the immediate discussions have been centered around the World Cup campaign, and in fact that is narrow, right? Given, like I said, the expertise of the person who we have brought in.
Right.
There is also, if you look at how he McLaren kind of moved around in Jamaica while he was here, you could also draw a conclusion from that you know he could be looking at interacting for the purpose of development in other areas of the football.
Well,
Because
I would think that part of his mandate should be, if he wants to source talent, him going to every cook and cranny at Jamaica to see who is playing and do they have the ability that can be harnessed to make his team, even though he'll do a lot of recruiting overseas. Or he get the intelligence information to inform that view, right? Because we're saying talent is on the island, right? That's what people are saying. Talent is on the island. You just need to be honest. Okay, let's say there is. So how is he going to get that intelligence? Because he say he's seen the talent. I'm saying, how the hell did he see the talent?
I think because he's instrumental. It's because remember he spoke about what he did for Jamaica's football way before he got here, not knowing that he would have been here, which is the whole.
But Mannings, he did it remotely, Mannings. So he did it remotely.
No, man. But what I'm saying though, the fact that he implemented the what they call it, the tedious program that they have.
I understand.
Which he believes, because he spoke about it, he believes, and this is not saying that you're wrong, but he believes through that program of identifying elite players, then that is the like on the island player identification. Right. I don't think, and this is my thing, which I totally agree with. I don't think right now we can look at the present JPL like trying to find talent. Like I think we have to look at the tedious program, the 13-year-old, the 15-year-olds, and I think that is where the age have to stop, where that is concerned, in terms of talent identification. I think once these players who are 20, they're going to miss it. If you're not good enough to get in the team right now, I don't think you're going to be, if you're 20 or you're 22, you're going to get into the team in 2030, right. Which means that they're going to have to do a lot of work with the tedious program that they have. That's what I'm thinking.
Here's my philosophy of this management. People don't seem to realize it, because I've done my assessment. I think if you want to say, well, is this sustainable? I think it's sustainable for the next 20 plus years. My view is, I'm not thinking about that component of it. What I'm thinking about is every single Jamaican with aspiration to play football at any level, we should try to figure out a way to help them maximize their potential. It will give us a chance to draw from the largest pool possible, no matter where they reside. And hopefully some of the local players can satisfy what is deemed to be quote unquote world standard and can compete at the highest level and be part of the national team, right? That should be the goal. The goal shouldn't be to bifurcate and to, be divisive.
Yeah. I know what the assistant coach, one of the things he said, because I spoke, and this is because his thing is that, listen, and I didn't even know this. He says, right? 67% of the kids in England under 15 are kids who can represent other nations. 67%, he says, of the kids in England, in the England setup at under 15 level, are the kids who can represent other nations.
60%?
67% of the kids in the England under 15 teams can represent other nations. And he says that they are very strategic about that, because that is why when they get to under 17 or under 19, they are already hooked because they have already been plugged into the English system.
Okay. So they want to make sure they play for England. So yeah, interesting.
Yes, so from that, right. So what he says they strategically do is that they don't bring in the English kids. You know why?
Why
because they know that they're going to play for England.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
You understand me? So, and he says that is the buying for the parents, because now you get the parents, and his position is like, that's what Jamaica need to start doing. We need to start getting, which is what we have not done. I don't know if you realize that we have not done that.
You mean what? You mean try to get the kids when they're very, very young?
We have not engaged families in this whole process.
Okay.
He's saying that we need to, he said the population of women and the influence of the women in the United Kingdom is so powerful that what Jamaica needs to do now is to begin, instead of recruiting, fine, you can do your recruiting of the older players, but you need to get in touch with the parents. Who is here talking to the mothers? What are you doing? Because if you don't win over the mothers, he's basically saying, most of these players are already in the English setup if they are talented. So how are you going to win them over?
I actually view this as a lot. I said this years ago. It's a larger thing for me. I think every person.
So while there's recruitment, while there's recruitment that identify the talent in Jamaica, there's like you've always said, there's a war going on for talent globally.
Of course, Mannings.
That now we have to begin to think outside of finding the person in Hanover or finding the person in Trelawney. But how are you going to convince these guys through their parents from as early as 13 and 14 and 15? How?
But Mannings, here's the thing what we haven't done, Mannings, man. The linkage or connectivity between the island and the diaspora needs to be improved. What do I mean by that? I think, like Israel, I think does in a sense, and I'm always using them as an example. If you get all the Jamaicans or overseas to have their kids become Jamaican citizens, there's a linkage and connection there, right? You have to worry about them getting papers, but if they become athletes. But it's not only in sports, it's across all disciplines. So you build up that linkage, which is, you know what, we're all Jamaicans. You create that sense of loyalty that you're going to build up. Unlike a Troy Dune, no, something come to Jamaica. That's where the government comes in. It's not just about sports, it's about in general. You can only benefit as an add-on from this. But that takes strategic thinking and a thought process, which may not be evident for some people. You don't think that way.
That is where it needs to go, Cranky. And that's I'm saying that this thing is bigger than football.
Yeah, it is bigger than football.
If at the national level we don't create the linkage, then sports becomes just immediate recruitment.
Yes.
So it's not long term, it's just for the moment.
Yes.
The only way it's going to be permanent is if there is national involvement. We want to begin to create a basis of having our citizens all over the world, just like those in the USA, who believe that they're part of Jamaica because of the frequent trips and the families going over and coming over. Because of that, there is a linkage between Jamaica and the US.
Yes.
How do we create that with those in England? Because remember, before the US, that's what we had with the people in England.
Yes.
It was there before. What caused it? Maybe you're older than me, so you have to tell me what broke it down.
I just think it's just distance. Distance is a challenge sometimes, Mannings, man. So the immediacy of when I leave, and over time, distance doesn't make the heart grow fonder, you know. Out of sight, out of mind, Mannings, man. Out of sight, out of mind. That's what happens.
But Cranky, wouldn't it have been harder in the 70s and the 80s to maintain that kind of a connection because of how difficult travels were or was at the point?
Yeah, it was, but you'd be surprised that because we have all this technology, doesn't it? Because there was a more of a desire now. Because when you write letter, my dad is a write me in Jamaica all the time, right? Well, not all the time. You get a letter once every month, man. But is that desire for that month? You're looking forward to that letter. Frequency sometimes doesn't really create that in a management. That's the problem you run into. But people also, there was the immediacy and dependency for England and Jamaica, for example. A lot of those people either come to the US or family members come to the US. The US has started to replace England now. The US has replaced England. There's more.
But
People don't seem to realize that.
That's what
No,
I'm trying to figure
US
out.
is
What
closer.
caused it?
It's closer. There are more opportunities. It's just a better situation for Jamaica, for the US versus England. There's not even any comparison, man. People don't realize how many people in England are just not well off financially, just not. And then distance doesn't help either, because a lot of times you can't leave to fly 9 hours management and pay $1,000 versus pay $300 management if you're smart is a big difference. To fly 9 hours versus 3.5 hours is or 4.5 hours is a big difference, management. Big difference. There are a lot of different factors. One could actually do a dissertation and assessment of this to find out why you're saying we're seeing a much more the gap being wider between Jamaica and England, but also it's like Jamaica is another state if you're in the US.
I just look at all the athletes, like this guy named Simmons that run for Great Britain. And, because we do so well in track and field, we don't complain that we lost Dean Asher Simmons. We lost the other guy who was a medalist in the sprint. I think in one of the sprint. We don't realize that we have also lost athletes who at the Olympics had the Jamaican flag, said that they were doing this for their grandmother in Jamaica.
Yeah. I mean, management is a big deal for people now. People don't realize that when you leave home, a lot of people leave Jamaica, had the intention to go back home, but it doesn't work out that way because reality hits. And they have the same sense of patriotism as the people in Jamaica. But also people in Jamaica are saying you don't have the same sense of patriotism, which is not fear. And they become more of an isolationist. They sound like Trump to me. They don't want to deal with the people overseas. But
I'd love to know that. Yeah.
But they want the benefits.
I really love. I know maybe a next program you can probably get some of your friends from England to probably share the views. But I want to know what needs to happen for the gap to be bridged.
But management, the people in England, if you hear Flex and them talk sometime, when they go watch Beanie Man them concert or some of the old artists, or you hear Apollo, who I engage with a lot, or you hear Robbie them talk. Don't you see Robbie them always wear Jamaican shirt? People don't Robbie the bond.
I hear Robbie and this guy named Ty. You know what they're arguing about?
Robbie Ty, what's his
Jamaica
name?
versus Nigeria.
Of course. I mean, if the people in England, when it comes to Jamaica, are very patriotic, are very supportive, but the distance is far. And I'm not sure we give them the love that they give us. In fact, I know we don't. But if you go there, it's a different story in terms of how people want to engage and the food they eat and how them think about Jamaica and how them support Jamaica. Because as Apollo tell you, he don't support England, he support Jamaica playing. Apollo is born in England, right?
But I don't believe, except for that though, I don't believe Apollo feel that sense of Jamaica loves Apollo.
No,
most people,
a lot of people don't feel that sense actually. Not based on the narrative that's spread. Not based on the narrative.
How do we change that, Cranky? Because this has been for a while now. That's what I'm saying. That it transcends.
Yeah, no, look, I think it's a collective effort. We have to do well. Look, we have mediums now, right? And we have platforms to help have this discussion, this dialogue, this engagement about these things, right? We have that, and we can help with the narrative. We can help being catalysts to change this. We can help. We don't need traditional media to change anything, because traditional media is a slave to advertisement, which is how they make their money. They're a slave to conduct themselves with a certain level of decorum. They're a slave to not being able to challenge certain things. We're not. We're much more free-spirited. We have much more latitude, and we should do so. Doesn't mean that we have to be disrespectful or say things that are inappropriate, but I think we have much more latitude. We have much more time to do these things, right? The radio station can't do a 4-hour program like you do sometimes talking about football. They can't. They got programs. They got every hour they have to do certain things. They can't do that. They don't have the ability to do that. We have the time. We have the latitude. We have the ability. We should do so. Right?
All right.
We can't be slave to. We can't be slave to the establishment.
I'm going to see if I'm doing a 4-hour program.
Right.
Your 2 hours is gone. So
I appreciate the call. I appreciate the call. Yeah, man. What's up? Thanks for calling. All right, people. That was I Am Sure Sport. And before that was Coach's Desk. So you see all the YouTubers who have given me a start calling tonight. So I appreciate it. Apart from Apollo probably sleeping. It's about 1:00 in the morning in England. But people, I want to say this, which is it was a good discussion today. Thanks, Paula. Pastor for calling in. Thanks, I'm Sure Sports for calling. Thanks, Coaching Desk for calling in. Thanks everybody in the chat. Amen, Ray, Claudine, Refer Morris, Lee Young, I'm miss name, shouldn't start in a Drew Ross. Drew Ross is always here. I call Drew Ross every single time. Nitro, everybody who's been here this evening. Tycoon, thanks for being here. I appreciate you being here. I will not be here tomorrow. I'm actually going to an event which has some Jamaican implications to it, some football implications to it. I won't say what event I'm going to, but somebody invited me to come to some forum or a dialogue. So I'm going to go there tomorrow. Has to do with some of the things we talk about here, just in terms of football, not specifically the Gleaner or the JFF. And I'll try to be back on Thursday. Bless up. Yeah, float management. Bless float management for being here. I'll be back on Thursday. I don't know what the topic is going to be, but hopefully I come up with something interesting that we can have a dialogue about. So everyone, thanks. Glad to have you. Thanks for being here. And you know me, I go to people. I'm going to No Cranky Live this evening. I'll play a little bit of music from Ball Possession and then we close it out. I'm going to do it on the stream still. See? There's someone who will run, and can run. I'll play some Ball Possession before we go.
My team to play possession.
We start over. Because that's not start right, people. That's not start right. Let's start over. All right, we start. Let's do the shot. Let's play about 2 for the runway.
Reggae Boyz, now is your time to play football like it's fine wine. You have the skills for the battlefield and to make your opponent's heal. But you have to have ball possession to ensure good ball progression. Need a coach who plays possession, cause possession is our obsession.
All right, people. So that was a snippet of my possession song. I mean, someone don't like it, but it's too bad. But anyway, people, I appreciate you being here. Thanks for being here. Have a wonderful evening. I should be back on Thursday. And guys, if you wanna, let me put this number up. See the number across the stream. If you wanna text me topics that you think I should talk about, give me enough time to do my research on any topics if I think it's interesting enough that we all want to engage in, and I will do so. All right. The number is 347-728-8625. If you text me a topic and it's interesting enough, I get do my research and we get engaged about it, I'll definitely have the conversation. So I'm gonna close on the stream now without any more music. So thank you. Appreciate you and have a good night. Thanks.